I went over to the streetlight. I looked up and down the road, desperately trying to figure out where I was. This is... Oh no. This was the one road connecting Hinamizawa to town. We were unbelievably far away from Satoko's house. Had the two of us really run so far a distance? My surprise at that was accompanied by the knowledge of the miraculous fact that despite running so far and making so much noise, we hadn't come across anybody at all. There was a long way between here and the ambush location where I dug the hole. There was no way I could carry the body that far. Wait, aside from that, the bike the man took here was still lying in the middle of the path. That would be an issue. The police could tell whose motorcycle it was by looking at its license plate, and they wouldn't just leave it at that. Thankfully, the corpse was in a dark forest. In terms of urgency, dealing with the bike would come first. And I wanted to get the shovel back from where I'd left it next to the hole. I shouldn't drag the body there. I would have to deal with it right here. Fortunately, the ground was like mud from the downpour and was more sludgy here than where I was before. I might be able to dig a grave quickly here, and I'll just bury the bicycle in the other hole. Of course, my bicycle was still over where I'd left it too. It still wasn't over. Homicide had only been half of my goal. The other half would be just as important as the first. I would completely hide the body, not allowing a beginning to happen. I would erase the man like he never existed. He'd then regain the peaceful times we had before. I bent my head backwards and calmed my mind even further. The big water droplets struck my brow mercilessly. They were actually quite comfortable, and for a while, I let my desire to have its way. After confirming that I was sharp again, I started running through the rain. The motorcycle in the grass was at the roadside. Considering how it looked, pelted with rain, covered in mud, it actually seemed like it had been lying there for a very long time. The plan was to drop the motorcycle into the swamp. The swamp was a bit of a walk from here. I lifted the bike up. I didn't think it would be so heavy. I was a little surprised, but once I had it upright, it was fairly easy to roll it along. Still, pushing this thing all the way to the swamp was really not something I wanted to do. I could no longer ignore my exhaustion, and cracked open an Amp energy drink and my Taco Bell, and it warned me the numerous times of how far away the swamp was. This motorcycle. I wonder if I could ride it well enough. Once I got it going, it would be basically the same as a bicycle. It wouldn't get me to the swamp quickly. A plan suggested by my exhaustion, the anxiety at getting on a motorcycle for the first time withdrew. I turned the key, and then you just kick the pedal, right? Yeah. Vroom. It's on, and then I gripped the handlebars, first the right, then the left. Oh! Maybe I twisted them too much? The bike lurched and did a wheelie like an angry horse. I lost it for a second, but it was just a problem of how much torque to apply. Let's try that again. This time slowly. Gently. This time it went well. It was strange to be on a two-wheeled vehicle that would go even if I didn't pedal. Very odd, but I got used to it quickly. Mion once told me you could get a scooter license within a day, and she was clearly right. This was pretty easy. I needed to throw the metal bat into the swamp too, but I didn't know how I would pack the bat onto the motorcycle. Without much other choice, I stuffed it into the back of my shirt, feeling like a ninja carrying a katana. If I put the tip down the seat of my pants and hunched over, it wouldn't fall out. I got back on a bike, and this time got going without any difficulty. I carefully pressed the button labeled Light, and a rather strong light came on, illuminating the way forward. I probably shouldn't have turned it on, but I didn't have any way of seeing at this point, and had zero confidence I could ride through this darkness. As the rain came down on me, I maintained a precarious balance and inched my way towards the swamp. Along the way, I ran across a few people who seemed to be returning from the festival, but none of them had any interest in me. They were either all soaked through with the rain or hurrying on their ways home, and had their umbrellas low and their heads down. Yesterday, I might have been wary of even these passerby, but right now it didn't seem to be much cause for concern. In fact, it would probably be less suspicious to be riding out in the open like this instead of sneaking around. More and more, though, I started to think of that idea as naive, brought on by my exhausted state. I climbed a steep hill. On a bike, the hill would have put me out of breath, but I just had to accelerate a little bit more to climb the entire thing. Motorcycles sure are convenient. For a moment, its lights illuminated a sign before I passed by it, Onagafushi Swamp. Good children do not play around here. Still, it wasn't like the way to the swamp was cordoned off by a metal fence or anything. Parents and teachers would get mad at you if you found out you were playing by the swamp, but some of the bad kids in my class apparently snuck out here sometimes to see the giant crayfish in the place. They'd talked about it before. How they'd go to the candy shop and buy some pickled squid, and then just tie it to a fishing line and throw it, and all the crayfish would come running. Once I got up to the bank, there was a tiny ritual shrine and traditional ropes on one of the trees. And, as it swallowed the downpour whole, the blackened swamp had waited for me. If I slammed on the accelerator from the cliff, stop as I was now, the thing would fly straight into the middle of the swamp. I had to be careful not to fall in with it. If I drowned and disappeared, man, what a stupid ghost story that would be. On the night of Tatarigoroshi, Satogo's uncle's corpse was found in a thicket by the road leading to town, and Kaiichi Mabra went missing. People would whisper that I had been demoned away. The 5th year's curse would be a half-baked one. I got off the bike, twisted the accelerator as hard as I could. I let go just when it seemed like it would drag me forward. The bike shot off the cliff and swallowed down into the swamp, leaving a far fainter splash than I had imagined. Its surface was being pummeled by the downpour, and the muddy, filthy water was flowing into it. I couldn't even make out the motorbike I'd just thrown in there. It was pretty heavy, after all. It would be quickly engulfed by the soft mud at the bottom of the swamp, and it would be pulled deeper and deeper until it reached hell itself. I felt no reluctance whatsoever in throwing the man's motorbike down to the land of the demons, but I did have a tinge of regret when I did it with Satoshi's bat. The muddy water washed off the gore sticking to it, and it sunk easily. I had sort of shared today's events with Satoshi, so I wanted to give it a quiet place to stay. That's how I felt. I started to feel more like returning to the locker from before, so I could continue to keep watch over Satoko. Satoshi, I probably, misunderstood you. Satoshi listened quietly, without nodding. I am absolutely convinced now. You are the one who beat your aunt to death last year and saved Satoko. I always scorned you and called you a coward who ran away. But I was wrong. To the rest of the world, some deviant was behind that incident, but I know that was something you did for her. And then you disappeared. You finally got back that peace and lost it within days. So I swear to you that I will live life to the fullest from now on. Live it enough. For the both of us. I will live on as though this week, this day, never happened. But I will never forget this short time we shared together, for as long as I live. I didn't know what expression Satoshi made as he listened, but as someone who had protected the same girl, I felt he had smiled and given me his blessing. And then, my hand moved of its own accord, and the bat I had hesitated to throw away left my hands, then flew through the air. It traveled its parabolic path, spinning all the while, and the swamp absorbed it without a sound. There weren't even any ripples when it hit the surface. That surface was tempestuous because of the downpour, and the bat was long gone. For a moment I regretted having thrown it, but I realized that might have been what Satoshi had wanted. You're right. I still can't let myself give into emotion just yet. I would return from my shovel, get on my bike, dig a hole to hide the body, and bury it. It seemed like a simple sequence of events, but I felt extremely exhausted, and I had to do it all tonight. Satoshi left me only the advice that I needed to finish this up soon, then fell silent for eternity, and disappeared at the bottom of the demon's abyss. I returned to the path I had ambushed your uncle on. My bike was hidden, sleeping in the brush. I stood it back up, my whole body felt heavy, but I needed to finish by the end of the day, even if I had to whip myself to do it. Oh, I forgot something. I didn't just come here for my bike. The shovel was here too. Not good. I was zoning out. Every once in a while, if I let my guard down, my vision would almost go black. Pull yourself together, Keiichi Mabura. It's still not over. I went into the grove of the trees and looked for the hole in which I had hidden the shovel. Unfortunately, I had hidden it deep in the forest, not wanting to be seen, and now everything was black in the night, and I couldn't see anything anymore. I reawakened my fading consciousness and realized just how big this annoyance really was. Wait. You can't be serious. The sweat the rain washed away before came back up to my skin. Deep, deep in the forest where streetlights could never reach. The fact that it would be so pitch black had been completely uncalculated. With this much darkness, even if I had been able to kill him right away like I had planned, I didn't know if I still could have buried him without a problem. What should I do? I simply couldn't find the shovel tonight. If I forced myself to go deep into the forest, I'd lose even my sense of direction. I might actually get lost in there. That might have been an exaggeration, but it was fully possible I'd trip over a tree root and sprain a muscle. Oh right, my house's storage room. There was another shovel there, the same fold-up kind. Couldn't I go back to the house to get the shovel and give up on finding the shovel tonight? It's not as though the name Mabura is written on the shovel, but it seemed like an unusual item from an import variety store made in another country, so I didn't want to leave that shovel here. But in this darkness, I couldn't do anything. I should give up and go back to the storage room. And there was an electric lantern in there. If I used that for light, I could look for it. But it was so extremely dark. Could I light the way with just the lantern? The light of a lantern in this dark night? I couldn't discard the possibility of withdrawing eyes. And I doubt if I could find the shovel with the lantern's feeble light. Besides, I'd left the body there for a pretty long time already. My sense of fear, dulled through excessive exhaustion, finally reared its ugly head. Anyway, for now, the most important thing was to hide the body. A shovel being found wouldn't be a big deal. But a corpse? If they found that, I'd share the same fate as Satoshi. First, I'd go back to the storage room at home. Then I'd get the lantern. Now that it's gotten this dark, I might still need light to dig a hole for the body, too. And I'd get the other shovel. And then I'd deal with the body first thing. And once that was done, I'd come back here and find the shovel and bring it back. I had to do at least that much. But I was so tired. But complaining was getting me nowhere. If I started getting complacent now, everything will have been for naught. At some point I had sat down. I gritted my teeth and endured, lifting my heavy hips. The night was young. Of all the nights I'd experienced, none had ever been this long. When would it all end? The night was young. The lights at home were dazzlingly bright. Suddenly they reminded me of how hungry I was. I checked the clock and saw it was almost 7. I'd thought for sure it was 2 or 3 in the morning already. I was surprised at just how messed up my biological clock had gotten just from this one night. There was a warm light coming from the curtains in the living room window. The worlds between here and what was beyond those curtains were so different. If only that man hadn't shown up, I would have been in that light. I'd still be excited from the festival, and I'd be talking to my parents about how much fun I had with all of my friends. And then, even though they made a hot meal for me, I would have eaten way too much at the stalls, barely eaten any of it, and gone back to my room. No doubt I'd crawl into my futon and easily let myself fall asleep. But right now, I was completely different. There wasn't a single ember of warmth from those weak street lights. Right now, I was unconnected to any time spent with my family, and there was neither warm food nor the time to allow myself to sleep. My body exposed to the cold rain, I knew that I simply had to spur myself on to accomplish what I must. I realized how timid, how cowardly I was becoming. For what reason did I need to kill someone, even if it felt this terrible? I'd lost sight of my purpose. I selected the fastest, most fundamental way of saving Satoko, and executed it without hesitation. That man was dead. He was gone. He would never, ever hurt Satoko again. We all thought frantically for days on end about Satoko's problem, and finally, with no options, we gave up, and I had solved it in one night, by myself, without anyone's help. Right about now, Satoko would be making dinner for her uncle, despite not knowing when he'd return, and she might be spending the night trembling in fear of whether he'd yell at her for how it tasted. But her uncle wouldn't come home. She wouldn't have to fear his wrath, nor let him make her feel sad. I see. I did it. I successfully saved Satoko. All I'd been thinking about for a long time was killing that man, and I'd forgotten the feeling that it was actually all to save her. I did. I did something good. That's right. I did something good, didn't I? I felt hot tears coming from my eyes, and that's when I first realized that the exhaustion I'd been feeling was actually guilt. The blade of guilt, for a while now, had just been scraping away with its tip, hurting my heart. It hurt so bad. I couldn't stand it. It was throbbing painfully. It hurt so much. It was so painful that I cried. I cried tears of joy at saving Satoko. I didn't know why, really, anymore. I just cried. My tears fell and fell, as I stood there for a while. Coming to terms with those warm tears, my heart was comforted a little. All right, Keiichi Mabura. That's enough. There's nothing to regret or feel ashamed about. Both my body and mind were thoroughly exhausted, and that was a fact. It was only natural I couldn't feel anything. Even tomorrow and the day after that, I might not be able to feel anything for a while. But there was one thing that was true. There was the undisputable fact that I had saved Satoko. One day, we would surely be rewarded. One day I would be proud of how distressing an enterprise I had undertaken to get Satoko's smile back. And so, that I could wait for that day. I had to put the finishing touches on this night. If I left it undone, everything I'd accomplished today would be for naught. I looked back up at the sky, which didn't look like it would stop raining any time soon. Then I'd rub my eyes and summoned forth energy from my core again. How long did I plan on spacing out? This isn't the time for daydreaming. Someone could find that corpse this very moment. That pessimistic thought was proof the very natural emotion of fear had returned to me. As I allowed the fear to spur me onwards, I went to look for the other shovel and the lantern inside the storage room. It was fortunate. I remembered what it looked like around the streetlight. The body was near. With how dark it was quite possible I wouldn't have been able to look for it either. I didn't realize that when I had left the place, so the idea of memorizing the spot hadn't even crossed my mind. And that's why I had to call it fortunate that I had managed to get back to the body like this. The corpse was now located in a big muddy puddle. Half the thing had already sunk into the swamp-like pool of water. I only realized afterward, but there was an unused irrigation channel right nearby, clogged with fallen leaves and dirt. There was rainwater flowing from there. My shoes had been awash with water for a long time now, so without any hesitation, I stepped into the puddle. The whole muddy stream started flowing back, luckily. I couldn't leave any slight traces like bloodstains. The rain was like a blessing from heaven. I checked around me, paying very close attention, then turned off the lantern. It became pitch black, but my eyes got used to the darkness. In a few moments, and once I managed to reach the streetlight on the other side, I was able to make out even faint lights. I stuck the shovel into the puddle right next to the corpse. The ground was even looser here than I thought, and the shovel's tip easily slid inside it. I had to hurry and dig. If I took too much time, I might lose my energy and strength again. It felt almost like digging a hole in the sand at the beach. It was easy to dig, but no matter what, the muddy water kept flowing in, covering the hole. The digging wasn't going as well as I had hoped. I dug, and the water would go in, so I couldn't get a sense of how deep it was. The only way for me to measure it was to bury my own foot in the mud. I'm digging just fine. It's all right. Don't be disheartened. Dig. Dig. Dig a hole. Occasionally a car would come by on the road, and I'd hurry to hide myself in the trees. Everyone was only passing through. They wouldn't have their eyes peeled in this kind of darkness. I understood it logically, but I still couldn't help but hide. What I was really scared of wasn't quite that one of the cars would coincidentally happen to witness me here. It was that the distance I could spot cars from was getting gradually shorter. At first I noticed the splashing sounds from really far away as cars drove through them. I started to notice them less and less, and with the car that just passed by I didn't notice it until the headlights were upon me. I felt my senses growing duller by the second. If someone were to take a peek in secret as I was burying the body, at this worst possible time. Maybe I wouldn't even notice. The moment I thought that, I took a good look around me. I roused all my half-asleep senses and searched for signs of a presence nearby. What if I found out someone was spying on me from the trees? A carnivorous feeling snarled at me, glaring. If there was, then I would dig another hole. I'd come this far already. In order to achieve perfection, I didn't care how much more I had to pay. I didn't know what kind of face I was making at the time, but it was definitely a fervently glaring one. My 5 senses reached the conclusion that nobody was present. I didn't breathe a sigh of relief. How long had I been digging this mud out here? It was deep enough for it to go up to my knees. You know, Minecraft made this seem a lot more fun. Maybe this was enough. Maybe I'd throw the corpse in as a test. I swallowed, getting my breathing under control. Despite how much I'd beaten him, I was afraid of touching the corpse. So instead, I dragged it by the feet to the hole. It took more than just a waggle and a tug to do it. But of course it did. Considering this man's weight was easily 80 kilograms. I rallied all my strength and dragged him. At this point, my groundless fears that he might suddenly start moving again had vanished long ago. His body fit perfectly in the muddy hole. It was more than deep enough. All right, let's bury him. Quickly. If I did a perfect job of burying it here, everything would be over. I would hide it in the hole, and none of this would have ever happened. When I realized I only had a little further to go to finish everything, I was racked with pointless anxiety, like I was in a race against time. It was like I was absorbed in a delusion that if I didn't bury the body quickly, it might come back to life. In any case, in a great rush, I poured mud and dirt into the hole. If I didn't work efficiently, someone might find me here. Until now, I figured someone saw. I'd just kill them. But not anymore. I was arrested with such absolute fear that if someone saw me, it would all be over. As I finished the work off, it was a total mess. Splish, splash, squish, squash. I drew the surface of the shovel across the ground, trying to make it flat. I was completely covered in mud at this point. The rain washed the mud off my body, but not off my now blackened clothing. My body and mind were caked with panic, with fear, with rain and sweat and mud. My shoulders heaving, I threw down the shovel and sat down in the mud. I was so exhausted that I wanted to lie down right here and sleep. It was over. This time, for real. It was over. The man was now on the bottom of the wet dirt. Right this moment there were traces that this place had been dug up, but the rain and flowing muddy water would completely cover it within moments. Yes, it was over. I did it. I did it. I did it. You motherfucker! You motherfucker! And then I fell over backwards, face up in the mud. Raindrops pelleted my face without mercy, but I didn't care. After staying there for a while, resting my mind, I got up again. It was over. So let's go home. You already buried the whole thing, so now it's like it never happened. It never happened, so there's no reason for me to stay out here and get rained on. I wobbled to my feet. I wouldn't use the shovel anymore. I considered disassembling it, but I didn't have the strength in my absolute exhaustion. I didn't really need to take it apart anyway. Dragging the shovel behind me, I headed towards the light. I stood up my bike. It had been laying in the grass by the road. I didn't know how I was going to get the still assembled shovel into the front basket. I put the shovel down the back of my shirt like I'd done with the baseball bat. Unlike the bat, the corner of it on my back, making it very painful. Plus, if I relaxed my posture even a little, it would fall out behind me. I ended up having to carry the shovel in my left hand and ride my bike using only my right hand. Not only was I in a state of total exhaustion, this was a downpour. One hand on the handlebars, I was swaying to and fro like a drunk. But I didn't care. Even swaying like this, I got a little closer to home every time I pedaled. I saw two lights swaying slowly in front of me. A car was approaching. Oh no, I need to get out of the way. Far away in the shadows of the darkness, a car appeared. Its dazzling lights washed over me. The driver made a short honk of the horn to inform me I was in the middle of the road. I have to get out of the way. I kept telling myself that, but not only was I riding one-handed, I was exhausted, so I couldn't do anything. Wobble, wobble, womp womp. I meandered about, not going to the right or the left. The driver decided to swerve out of the way right in front of me, without lowering its speed much, steadily came towards me. Its outline grew larger in my vision, telling myself again that I really need to get out of the way. I jerked the handlebars in one direction, then lost my balance and fell over, bike and all. My whole body splayed out, and one foot got caught in the bike. This was seriously bad. My drowsiness quickly vanished, and just as a cold sweat broke out on my skin, the driver recklessly spun the wheel to left, made a counterclockwise U-turn, and came right up to me and stopped. The driver's seat door opened, and the driver came out. "You idiot! What are you doing here?" I was pretty sure someone would yell at me like that. Oh my. Look who it is. It was a woman's voice, and one I knew. I lifted my face off the ground and looked at her. Takano-san. For anyone that is actually familiar with the entire story of the anime, if you know, you know. But we're getting like multiple story arcs ahead. Good evening. The moon is very pretty tonight, Mabura-kun. Hello, Satan. Lovely night we're having, isn't it? I was just playing at the beach. In the dark. It was raining far too hard to see the moon. Takano-san unfolded an umbrella and smiled as she spoke. That smile was for some reason uncanny, like she'd seen right through me. Yeah, but I mean, she's done far worse. Everyone's like, stop spoiling the story. Like, okay, I'll make sure not to do that in future videos. But at this point, who hasn't, like, watching my Let's Play can't be your first exposure to this game. Like, I would feel like anyone watching this has already watched the entire anime. Out of all the people I could have met, I got the sudden feeling that this was the one I wanted to see the least. Yeah. And grantedly, it does, like, okay, spoilers. Grantedly, Mio is kind of the one who gets killed a lot of times at the start of Tatarigoroshi. But she's done a lot of very, very awful things. Technically, she's the one who killed the damn construction manager. And multiple other people. Also, technically, Coach Dr. Iri is at auto with her. So is Jiro, who's actually a government employee. And there's probably about 100 soldiers waiting in those trees, as there's cameras at every single spot of this place, like it's the fucking Truman Show. Also, we got time loops, because we have an ancient goddess that's the real Oya Shirosama that's actually just a benevolent being that would never hurt anybody, who's having Rika live through 1,000 years of time loops to try to find the one, timeline where no one dies, where, like, things can work out. And we're going through 1,000 time loops of lots and lots of dying. It's like we're fucking Doctor Stranging this shit. And I'll say this. And in the animes, they changed a lot of the story too. Like, in the visual novels, like, granted, I'm not really familiar with the visual novels. I've watched the animes, but I have a general idea of the story and the differences. The anime eventually does kind of make Satoko into a villain too, who is time looping to force her best friend Rika to stay in the village by torturing her. But I mean, that's the last thing you would ever want to do to somebody if you want them to stay. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I think one of the most important things about any place I'd want to live, or anyone I'd want to be friends with, let alone close to as best friends or romantic, is I'd want someone I feel safe with. So the last thing I'd want is a person or a place that I would relate in any way to anything traumatic. And of course, I said there's different things in the anime and different storylines. And certain games intertwining with each other, but main point is this. I would say this. On its surface, Mio Takano's have a really fucking shitty life. Like, she's gone through a lot of very, very bad things from even very early young age. And I would say she definitely deserves pity and sympathy. And yeah, she went through a lot of very fucked up things that she did not deserve. You know? I would say definitely if you look at Mio Takano's backstory in a large degree, she is very much the victim who did not deserve a lot of bad things occurring. However, that does not justify what she's done in the past 4 to 5 years in Hidemasawa Village. Nor does it justify any of the thousands of timelines where she outright murders Kaiichi and all of my friends. So at that point, like, the moment where you're hurting innocent people, it doesn't matter how, like, tragic your fucking backstory is. Like, Mio Takano has a tragic backstory. It really fucking sucks what happened to her. Definitely would make very much sense that she has a lot of PTSD, a lot of trauma, probably needs a lot of therapy and hugs and stuffed animals and such. But you lose all my understanding and sympathy, you know, given the terrible things that you have done. Now, I mean, I could understand if, like, she did violent, angry things against the people that did the very traumatic things to her when she was younger. Okay, fine, I can understand that. You either, or say, like, if she herself chose to intervene against, you know, Satoko's uncle. After all, she could very well draw a fucking comparison and maybe have a bit of sympathy in that direction because, like, she herself lived through very, if not worse, circumstances. So at that point, I don't think if Mio Takano-san were to have killed Teppei herself, I don't think, if anything, I'd feel that she'd even be more blameless than Kaiichi. That being said, you are hurting innocent people that have done no wrong to you or to anyone else, and you're usually doing so, I don't know, out of interest. Of, you know, personal gain. Granted, yes, you do have a very strong reason to desire that stuff, but at the same time, you're hurting innocent people. Also, like I said, it's one thing if somebody hurts somebody that's either directly hurting them, or the person they're hurting is a really bad person, or the person's a threat to them. But here's the thing, you're hurting innocent people who have never hurt you, never hurt anyone else, and who are of no threat to you or no threat to anyone else, and no threat to innocent people themselves. And a lot of times you're being a bit sadistic and enjoying hurting them. And you're not under the effects of Hidemasawa syndrome, technically. So you're technically in your air quotes right state of mind. Though honestly, you've been around Hidemasawa long enough, you should be infected too. Because technically everyone in this entire city is infected with the Hidemasawa syndrome. It's just that it only triggers by either, severe stress or by leaving the town. Because here's the thing, it's one thing if you were to visit Hinamizawa, but I would say if you ever visit Hinamizawa, you should not eat or drink anything there. In fact, I would say, whether it be a place with any sort of disease, or contagion, or a curse, you should not eat the food or water there, nor should you spend the night. Any place with any kind of either biological contaminant or curse, I would not recommend eating or drinking the food there. Maybe if it was pre-bottled water, maybe, but you shouldn't be eating food from the... Like, if there's a city that's under a curse of any kind, or has any sort of... It'd be kind of like, say, you went to a haunted building. If you brought bottled water, cool, you drink your own water. But if you found, water or something there, you probably shouldn't drink it. Probably shouldn't sleep in the haunt. Probably shouldn't even mess with anything supernatural. But main point is this. Yeah, I ruined the story. Then again, who's not familiar with the story? And even then, even if you are watching this and you hadn't heard Higurashi at this point, if you had enough interest to actually watch all of the videos I've made up to this point, then, if anything, I made you more interested to keep watching. Just saying. You're hurting innocent people who have not hurt you and who are of no threat to you. It's not like you're even doing it in self-defense. Then again, technically there is a version of the story where Teppei is not an abusive asshole. But again, every character in this game goes through... But anyway, it's not like... And again, the visual novel's not very long in terms of... I mentioned there's thousands of time loops. We're not playing thousands... Each game's a time loop, okay? It's not like 07 Expansion wrote 1,000 Higurashi games. Though, if they did, I'd play them. It would just take a very long time. I don't know if anybody would be interested in watching that. At that point, I'd be known exclusively as the Higurashi channel, because at that point, it would have been 10,000 videos of Higurashi. But yeah, I would, though. As long as my computer could handle it, my laptop didn't, burn out, and I didn't, die or something, I would keep making videos. So, yeah. Heck, if I was rich, I'd make fucking Beat Saber videos. If I was a millionaire, I'd probably get a computer that can actually handle something like Beat Saber and maybe, VR equipment and play fucking Beat Saber. Though I don't know if I'd keep up with it, especially if, I don't like headaches or migraines, and I don't know if that stuff would give me headaches or migraines. I would definitely quit if it gave me headaches or migraines. Main point is this. Mio Takano. I can sympathize with what you want to do, with your goal, and with, how fucking shitty the things that happened to you when you were younger in life happened. And that, one, you didn't deserve that, and two, even with copious amounts of time healing and therapy, that stuff would still leave a scar in your heart. That being said, you are still literally Satan in this situation in regards to the town. And you are literally the most dangerous person in this entire city with the most blood on their hands. Especially considering you're predominantly the person killing everyone who isn't, you yourself are not actively under Hinamizawa syndrome. And yet you are the person who has killed the most out of all the timelines with the least justifiable reasons. If not at all justifiable. Also, am I the only one starting to notice this kind of looks like a certain World War II symbol? Am I just imagining that? I'm just saying, we're fucked. The moment Now, granted, she did at least swerve to not hit us. I do appreciate that. As far as I'm aware, I don't think she knows anything about time loops. I don't know. Then again, like I said, there's different versions of the story. And like I said, it's like Tenchi or Gundam. There's like so many different versions to those animes. Some of them are sequels. Some of them are spin-offs. Some of them are completely different alternate realities that just are cool to enjoy. Like Tenchi Universe and Tenchi Muyo and Tenchi in Tokyo are all different realities. They are not even remotely the same in terms of timelines, but they're all really cool stories themselves and allow you to see the characters in, a little bit more light. Heck, I'm still wanting 07 to make more. And no, I'll probably play all the Higurashi games, and if they make a new one, I'll probably play that. I probably will never play Umineko. But who knows? I could always change my mind on that in the future. But as of right now, I have no plans to play any of the Umineko games, which is also by the people that did Higurashi. But, like I said, for the moment, I have no plans to play that game. What are you doing out so late? And you're soaked and covered in mud. And no umbrella either. What is that? A shovel? She had come here via car. She wouldn't have known what I was just doing. And yet she smiled as though she knew everything. Calm down, Keiichi Mabura. We're dead. We are fucking dead. She's also one of the few people in this entire city or in all of Japan that is constantly carrying a gun. Which makes it all the more kind of odd that you're usually the first person to die. Are you just faking your death every time? I mean, you have access to the autopsy records and the hospital. I mean, you're a nurse. I mean, technically, you're a full-fledged doctor. Hell, you're a fucking surgeon. Hell, you have a fucking doctorate. You are the most dangerous and most intelligent person in this entire city. And you're like one of the only people that owns a gun that you carry on you at all times. In Japan, where you're not even allowed to carry a sword. Unless it's like an anime toy. Well, this is bad. Calm down. She always makes that mysterious-looking smile, remember? Yeah, that's definitely for other reasons, Keiichi, but they're actually not less sinister than what you're worrying about. It's like, oh, is she making that smile because she knows I killed a dude? Well, I mean, she probably knows. The cameras fucking everywhere in this fucking city. I mean, she is literally the most dangerous person in this entire city. You'd think that we just fucking killed a dude that would be able to sense killing instinct at this point. But no, apparently it doesn't work that way. Don't let her onto anything, lest you dig your own grave. I'm just saying this. The rumors say you were playing baseball with a golf club. Yep, that's me. But, yeah, like I said, one, she probably does know, but also the mysterious smile that she makes is actually a lot more sinister than what we could possibly even think. Is that what the shovel's for, too? No, I'm playing golf with the shovel. Hehehe, you're using it as an umbrella. Hey, don't make fun of Brock from Pokemon. My frying pan has become a nifty drying pan. Then again, people be like, is that the same anime where they call the rice, rice onigiris a fucking jelly donut? And I'm like, how do you know it's not a jelly donut? You can't eat anime. I should tell a good lie here. If I could just do that, things would work out. When I went with Rena to go digging for treasure at the dam, we forgot this there. That makes sense. That's logical. Now I need to tell Rena that. and you went to get it in this downpour. It wasn't raining when I went to go get it. When I left my house, I didn't think it would rain, so... Oh, it's been raining for a while, though. You've been out there for quite some time, haven't you? Well, yes, I was kind of wandering around. Even so, you came from that direction, didn't you? The dam is in the opposite direction, you know? Fuck! Fuck! It was going so well! Hee. Takano-san was clearly aware that something was exceedingly abnormal was happening within me. Takano-san was clearly aware that something exceedingly abnormal was happening with me. And as she played her little word games, she was enjoying driving me into a corner. Maybe she had a vague guess, just from the situation, of what I'd been doing. My timing really sucked to run into her, of all people, of all times. At the very end, I can only be frustrated at my terrible luck. It would have been better if we just, like ran and were walking in the rain, sad or something, and came across her. Heck, she probably would have helped me. Instead, we're gonna get fucking gunned down. I'd done so much, and the end was literally right around the corner. So why did I run into her, of all people? You were watching me dig the fucking hole. You then drove ahead of me and waited for me in front of my fucking house. What do you do, Keiichi Mabra? You're still holding something that could be a dangerous weapon. Will you silence Takano-san? I mean, while she's technically not an innocent person, and is the least innocent person in this entire city, in almost every timeline, she has not done anything wrong to us so far in this one. And we have no reason to think that she's harmed anyone or is actively a threat to us. Yes, it would be very concerning about her finding out, but for all intents and purposes, she is an innocent person as far as we are aware. We do not know that she is actively butchering and murdering and dissecting people and, carrying out biological warfare against the citizens of Hinamizawa for her own experimentation for, the government. We don't know that. We don't know that she's the one who murdered the damn construction manager and dissected his brain while he was still alive with no anesthetic. Or has been ripping apart, mutilating, and murdering people, and manipulating a lot of things in almost every timeline to be very bad. That being said, imagine if I was playing this game blind with having not watched any anime. Fuck. You guys remember the Halloween song? The Nightmare Before Christmas? Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see in this town of Hinamizawa. I will say this, the music is so good. And it works perfectly with this. I'm such a selfish person. I want more higurashi games. And everyone's like, what about Umaneko? I'm like, probably not. Then again, if I started playing that series of games, I'd probably be the same with higurashi games. Like, I'd be wanting to do all of them. No, let's say this. If I ever get the Umaneko games, I'll bet them when they're on sale, like I did with higurashi. Because I bought all the games that were like 90% off when it's some sort of bundle. So I could save as much money as possible. But in this circumstance, we have no justification. Even if Takano-san would outright say that, oh yeah, you murdered Teppei and buried him in the woods. Let's be clear, we have no moral justification for hurting her. Just because she knows what we did doesn't mean it's okay to hurt her. does mean in that situation we'd be able to talk to her honestly about what was happening. And whatever happens of it, happens of it. If she decides to report us to the police, that's just what's going to happen. I mean, at that point, we really can't... I mean, we technically, physically could, but that wouldn't be right. I mean, for all intents and purposes, she is, as far as we are aware, a completely innocent person and doesn't deserve such a thing. Now, that being said, in all reality, she is packing a gun, and she is literally a serial killer who has killed dozens and dozens of people in every fucking timeline. She has literally murdered people. There's timelines where she literally dissects Rika while she's still alive. Granted, to be fair, Rika at that point is fully aware of the timeline stuff more than her and asks not to be given anesthetic, at which point Mio is a little taken aback by. But Rika's doing that because she wants to be able to remember more easily in future timelines. Heck, there's a timeline where Keiichi actually starts to feel things from different timelines, such as remembering the events at the end of the first game where we killed Rena and Mion, and then we feel very, very sad about that. Though I would say, for all intents and purposes, even if every possible timeline was super happy and good, I would imagine a human being having knowledge of even more than one timeline at a time, even if both timelines were super happy, or even if the timeline the person was currently in was good and the other one's bad. I don't think human beings are mentally capable of dealing with that sort of thing. And even if they are, I would certainly imagine not be a pleasant experience. I'm just saying, it's a bit unfortunate that of all the people in this city to run into, we have run into Dr. Joseph Mangala. So, honestly, given that reality, the best thing we could hope for would be for her to call the cops. Because otherwise, she's going to kidnap us and dissect our brain while we're still alive. So, I'm just saying, going to jail or prison probably won't be the best, but I'm pretty sure the doctors in the prison aren't going to crack my skull open and start looking around inside my brains while I'm in the prison. Just saying. One of these scenarios is much worse than the other. And we don't really... I will say this, though. At the moment where she pulls out a gun, or a scalpel, or a syringe full of drugs to stab us, or a rag with chloroform, I mean, we technically have justification to beat her to death with a shovel at that point because, you know, she's actively trying to murder us, and we're actually acting in self-defense completely at that point. But at that point, you know, even if we were fully alert and had just drank a gallon of fucking Red Bull, there's no way to be able to react in time. And in general, I have terrible reflexes. But even if I had good reflexes, and keep in mind, we are in a very exhausted state. If she, were to pull out her knife or something, I don't think we could defend ourselves in this situation. Even with the shovel. I mean, technically, yes, she's older than us, but we are physically stronger than Mio. If we weren't ready to collapse. And, I mean, we'd already just got our foot stuck in the bicycle. So we definitely sprained that. Very badly. we probably can't even hardly walk home at this point. Shovel or not, I mean, the best we could do is halfway fucking swing it. But honestly, in our current physical condition, if Mio wanted to try to murder us with her bare hands, we're no longer capable of actually defending ourselves even with the shovels. Like, even if I had both shovels on me right now and I was fucking dual wielding them like Ichigo or the Musashi, even without a weapon, she could easily kill us right now. Heck, she could have just ran us over with the car. Heck, at this point, given our physical ability, she could just get back in the car and run us over now. We wouldn't be able to get out of the way. That being said, I would say this. If we had knowledge of the other timelines and the secrets behind them, and we already knew that she was a fucking serial killer, and that she's not just a curious passerby, but she's actively murdering everyone, honestly, in that circumstance, our best chance would have been to, even right now, even if we all of a sudden saw these clips of memories from other timelines and suddenly knew that she was like fucking Dr. Joseph Mengele, our best option would be to instantly attack her at the earliest opportunity we had. Because at that point we know there is no option of not dying. It means that this person is a clear threat that intends to kill us very painfully. But at the same time, again, this is the most dangerous person in the entire city. She may not be the most physically imposing individual in the city, but she is by far the most dangerous and most lethal. And we are not in any condition to even defend ourselves at all. But I'll say this. Given that all the stuff that we don't actively know about, let's say none of that existed, and she's just, it's just Mio Takano-san. She's that nurse who has an interest in folklore stuff, that likes to visit the city, and is banging this photographer guy. Okay, cool. I mean, at that point I can't justify hurting her in any way. She's just an innocent person. It's not like, she's Dr. Joseph Mengele, she's actively a serial killer, murdering dozens of people and performing cruel experiments on people, working with the federal government that are basically Nazis, and they're doing medical experiments on everyone in the city that are very unethical. And the photographer guy is actually a military soldier that's doing reconnaissance on us with a bunch of cameras, with fucking Truman Show shit. And technically her, Jiro, and all those people should be infected. Because they've at least been to Hinamizawa often enough that it should have happened. But who knows? Just saying. Like, here's the thing. Let's say, hypothetically, you met a dude in a bar, but you could read minds. And you just happen to run into Dr. Joseph Mengele. Back. Like, he was just, like, taking some time off from the camps. Time off, air quotes. And decided to go get a drink at a local pub. And you had, like, telepathy. Let's just say you're Professor X or something. I don't know. Just saying. What do you do after you get done vomiting from after everything you've seen? And everyone's like, what would a telepath see inside your mind, Lunar? Video games. You'd see video games, me talking to stuffed animals, and me just having stupid, awkward conversations with myself about, like, anything and everything. So, at that point, you just see, this person's a weeb. Socially awkward otaku man. Drink an amp energy drink. Though I don't really think they're very energetic full, but they taste good. Anyway, we're gonna die because we literally killed the dude on a motorcycle, but now we have come close face to face with an actual serial killer. So we're fucked. It's like, how fucked is he? Over 9,000! No, I can't do the fucking thing, right? But we're fucked. We're completely fucked. There is nothing we could do. Honestly, even if we made the decision to try to kill Takano-san, let's be clear. Even if she didn't have fucking guns and shit on her and military training and have 100 soldiers behind her at her beck and call, and even if we were in prime physical condition, it would not exactly be a good circumstance. And even then, it's just, again, we don't know any of that stuff, so as far as we're concerned, she's just an innocent person. So we can't possibly justify hurting her in any way. Even though, like I said, even like, oh, well, she's going to find out. Well, at that point, well, we just have to talk to the cops at that point. You know, because there's no way we can justify hurting somebody that, hasn't hurt him. But if, in all actuality, she's hurt lots of people. She's a serial killer. She has killed lots of innocent people in very, very gruesome ways. There are so many timelines where she's literally taken out her gun and blown mine and my friends' brains out of our skulls. And even in this current timeline, she has already killed 12 people. She is actively a serial killer. That's what this amounts to. Federal funding and government backing or not, doesn't make you less of a serial killer. I mean, technically, Dr. Joseph Mengele in War II, was federally funded and had the backing of the government, and even the president of that country, doesn't make it any less immoral. So we're fucked. We're completely fucked. Even if it would be simple to kill Katana-san, kill with the car, she'd come in afterward, would be an issue. Can you tell that we're having this line of thought that you're like, hey, that's Keiichi Mabra. He's holding a shovel. He's considering if it'd be possible to kill me and hide the body. Because, like, how long is this train of thought going on? Like, how long are we just sitting here quietly with her just staring at us? And they're like, Keiichi, it's been half an hour. You've just been spacing out talking to yourself for half an hour. It's now winter. It has been months. We've been standing here for months. The sun is going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. Honestly, at this point, in either situation whether we know that she's the fucking Nazi doctor who is a serial killer, or just an innocent passerby, in either scenario, we're simply at her mercy. So at this point, no matter what she decides, for the most part, we really can't do anything. And we just basically decide to... understand that we're in a situation where we are completely helpless and we can't do shit. So at this point, we're just managing, the collateral damage of it and figuring out, okay, we will just wait and see what she says, and we will decide what our options are from there. But for the most part, we really can't do shit. And she is the one in the driver's seat at this point because, she's literally the one with the car. I couldn't drive a car. Yeah, that's a lot trickier than a motorcycle. It says the person who can't drive an actual motorcycle. Then again, I can't actually drive a bike. I have a terrible sense of balance. It was completely different than a motorbike. But even if a car was here, as long as there's no proof I killed her, yes, in tonight's downpour without any prior planning, all by coincidence, a hit and run. As long as I didn't draw any chips with my initials on them, they would never know I killed her. Okay, okay, that logic ain't logicking. Everyone's like, that's the dumbest sentence ever. I know. But we've been awake all day burying a body in the fucking woods, okay? Forgive me if I can't, make a coherent sentence, okay? I didn't bring a fucking Red Bull with me with this fucking shovel. Main point is this. A hit and run. What, did she hit somebody and run away on foot? Did she hit and run herself? Like, what? She got hit and run? Where's her car? What car hit her? But, like, earlier we were all concerned about killing somebody in the woods. Now we're like, we're in the middle of the fucking street. A black flame quietly smoldered and raged in the core of my body. That's a scary look. Did I tease you too much? Takano-san started to laugh by herself, then thankfully stopped talking about it, but the dark clouds in my mind didn't go away. Leaving that aside, how long are you planning on crawling on the ground with your bike like that? Would you mind moving out of the way? I think I broke my leg, maybe. I mean, at the very least, if I got my foot stuck in the bike, I at least twisted my ankle. But I can limp out of the way and then limp the rest of the way. I'm really close. If I moved, she would leave. So I tried to get the bicycle up and out of the way, but then twisted my ankle and it fell over. Ow! Ow, shit! Ah! No. Fucking fuck! There was a sharp pain in the ankle I'd twist. Yeah. Fuck. This is nonsense. A sprained ankle? Now? Oh my. Are you alright? Did you twist your ankle? Yes, quite badly. Miss Nurse Takano-san Mio, do you have an ice pack in your car? Maybe some Advil? Morphine? Bandages? Takano-san squats down and takes a good look at the ankle I keep rubbing. She compares it to my facial expression, apparently trying to gauge how bad the wound is. Can you stand? That's a no. I didn't expect to, but I couldn't even stand up. It was all I could do to shamelessly wriggle on the ground like a caterpillar. Takano-san looked at her watch, then at her car, and after thinking for a moment, opened the passenger seat door. And then gave me her shoulder to stand up with. I'll take you home. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, if you legitimately were just going to give me a ride home, I would be like, yay, thank you. And then you'd drive me home, and I would be like, thank you. And then we'd be friends in the future, and I would just have conversations about how I went to the beach and stuff, but more than likely you're not going to drive me home, and at that point I'm already in your car, and then you're going to stab me with a syringe full of drugs, and I'm going to pass out, and then I'm going to wake up in an underground bunker surrounded by 100 soldiers as you like stab scalpels into me. You also play like Barney on a TV behind me, and like we have like Creed playing on the radio. It's like, please get in the car with Hitler. Like, fuck. I do feel bad since it's almost like I hit you. Were you just like parked in front of my house waiting for me? Also, you're like, honestly, I'd be better limping. Can we please not get in the car of Charles Manson? I'm sorry. I wouldn't just leave you there. I mean, look at her face. She would never hurt anyone, right? Everyone's like, you're ruining the story. It's supposed to be a surprise that she's a serial killer and that she suddenly starts stabbing us to death in the car. Okay? Everyone's supposed to be like, it's a good thing I'm a nice person. He. Yeah, it's supposed to be a surprise that this person turns out to be so dangerous. We're supposed to get in the car and be like, oh, we were the dangerous one. Like, nope. It's like, you thought you were the bad guy here. Oh, you don't hold a candle. Like, oh, you thought you were the boogeyman. Wait till you meet the real fucking monsters. It's like, dear Jesus. Nobody good has ever called himself a nice person. But that would have been a terrible thing to say, someone holding me up like this. I wouldn't think too much on it, but yeah. In general, I really don't call myself a nice person. I'm just some guy. But in general, I try to be nice and friendly to people, but that's just the way I prefer to be. But I wouldn't call myself a nice person. I just call myself a person who, is normal? Well, no, that definitely doesn't count. We talk to stuffed animals. And ourselves. Okay, I'm non-malevolent. Yeah, that's accurate. We are weird and talk to ourselves, but we're at least not malevolent. Like, imagine if, like, Hellraiser, like, if you solved the equivalent of a lament configuration, but for, like, Lunar D8, like, you opened the box and you summoned me. It'd be like, here's a blahage. I'm going to give you stuffed animals and some Pepsi, and here's some anime. That's what happens. Like, if you solve the fucking mystery cube that summons Lunar D8, you have to listen to me talk about geometry. You have to listen about trains and anime and Gundams. And you have to listen about video games and retro stuff. Like, I won't hurt you. I'm just going to annoy you very, very badly and give you stuffed animals. And be like, hey, do you like bike trails? And be like, hey, do you know this one anime and this one video game and this one music? But yeah. It's like, I don't see myself ever hurting anyone, but I would certainly annoy people by just talking and talking and talking. Even though in real life I'm basically a very introverted person who really doesn't talk to people. Largely because a lot of stuff's very personal, because I am a bit socially anxious with people, and, well, because in general, I know people don't want to hear the things I want to talk about, so I don't want to bother them, nor is it something I wanted, but just... It's like, you opened the box, you summoned me. You opened the box, I came. Here's a stuffed animal, and some Pepsi, and a gallon of ice-cold water. And here's a brand new anime you've never heard of before. You have no idea what genre it's going to be, because I watch every genre of anime. It could be wholesome slice of life. It could be Guro. It could be hentai. It could be Dragon Ball AF that's been animated and is from the future. In the year 2050, they finally fucking animated Dragon Ball AF. 5 years after Skynet took over. But Skynet didn't blow up the world. It brought world peace. Infinite healthy food. Also, Skynet was very lewd and obsessed with porn, I guess. And now there's AI android cat girl Futa everywhere. With big titties. And everyone's like, what is this future? I don't know. And Azure Lane's real. All the countries have giant battleships that are just giant kaiju big titty girls. Just like, they're the size of skyscrapers, but they're battleships. But they're also women. Anyway, let's go get in the car with Ted Bundy. I don't want to get in the car with Ted Bundy. Getting in the car with Ted Bundy's a bad decision. I took Takano's hands and sat down in the passenger seat. Takano-san went around the back and looked at my bike on the ground. And technically the irony of this is this. We already made a trip home after killing the body. Technically at this point, we would have had a better ending to the story if when we got home, instead of, like, when we went to the fucking storage shed to get the fucking lantern and the shovel, if I just passed out and fell asleep in the fucking storage shed, we would have had a better chance of actually getting away with everything, let alone not getting murdered by the fucking devil's rejects. Fuck! Hell! If we had just gone in and talked to our parents at that point, I think they would have been understanding stuff. Granted, they'd be like, oh shit, this bad thing occurred, but they would help us. Hell, if at any point of digging the hole, the first one, if we just fell asleep and slept to the next day, and never even got around to making that fucking phone call to Tepe, and in that situation, Tepe never got killed, technically we'd have a better ending, because we know from the background stuff in the little tips guides that, and this, like, it's basically we're a day or two away from, child welfare services actively taking Satoko away from Tepe. So technically, we wouldn't have had to do anything, and everything would have worked itself out for the best. We could have literally just dug the hole in the woods and then just fell asleep. Woke up a couple days later. No problems. Hell, at that point, we literally could have mentioned to everyone publicly, like, hey, like, why weren't you there at the festival and school the next day? I was going to kill Satoko's uncle, but I was digging a hole, and then I passed out and hit my head, and I woke up a day later. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, so I asked you to take Satoko to the festival. I was planning to kill her uncle while you guys were there. But since I woke up, I found out that he's already in jail, and Satoko is now living a peaceful life again, which means any motivation I had to do anything bad in the first place is gone. So, okay, well, let's enjoy our car ride with Tanya the Evil. Did I miss Takano-san went around the back and grabbed my bike, left my bike on the ground. I didn't suppose we could take the bicycle home tomorrow. I could clearly tell from her face that she thought it would be a pain since it would be heavy, and it would get her car dirty. But my bike has the name Mabura on it, written on it. I couldn't leave it out here like this. Well, can you somehow put it in the car? I sort of need it. The trunk is already full, with other dead bodies. If I put it in the back seat, it'll get the seats dirty with muddy. Well, given how you're already in here, it's already dirty, I suppose. You literally work for the most corrupt branch of this entire government in the world you currently live in. They will literally pay to clean your car. I'm not the first people you've murdered in this car. I turn back to the back seat and see someone's folding the bicycle there already. It still looked big enough to fit someone's folding bicycle there already. It still looked big enough to fit my bike in there as well. Whose bicycle is this? Is it Rika's? Is it Satoko's? Is it Rena? Is Rena dead? My expression reflected my thoughts, and the exact thought seemed to get through to her. Alright. I'll put it in here for you. I'll be really nice, but just for tonight, okay? Hee. Katana-san continued for mean jokes, but she hoisted my bike and loaded it in the back seat for me. The mean jokes were one thing, but couldn't she do something about the eerie smile of hers? And even more importantly than the bike, I didn't want to leave the shovel here. The shovel could be directly connected to the buried body and me. I'm sorry to ask for another favor, but could you get my shovel too? Takano-san gave me a clearly dubious expression. Your shovel? That's fine with me. Is it important? The more I talk, the worse it gets. Well, I mean, it costs a bit. I don't want to leave it behind. I mean, my parents would yell at me. I lost both their shovels. That's how I felt, so it didn't force itself to answer. Eventually, outlasted my silence, Takano-san gave a short shrug and sighed. Besides, at this point, it's smaller than a bicycle. Oh, right, I understand. You need your shovel, right? Well, yeah, how else? You don't need to make such a mean face. But, of course I'm going to make a mean face. How else will I build sandcastles? Everyone's like, we're going to die. I'm like, I know, it sucks. Takano-san brought over the shovel that was lying in the middle of the road. I clutched it like I'd never let go of it again. Takano-san watched me with a puzzled look. It's like, I don't have a stuffed animal. I will hug the shovel. Okay, let's be off. Mabura-kun, you live at the Mabura mansion, don't you? Mansion? Is it really that big? Why does everyone call my house the Mabura mansion? Because it's actually a mansion. It must be nice to be rich. As she spoke, Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped on the gas. Are you holding a personal grudge against me over that? Because your own childhood fucking sucked? I'm sorry that your parents died and you became an orphan that was horribly abused and to the point that you and your orphan friends all tried to escape, but then you failed, and then all your friends were brutally murdered in front of you, but then by a last-ditch effort of God, you were saved by succumbing to the same fate, and then you were adopted by a kindly old doctor that wanted to prove the existence of Hinamasawa syndrome, but was laughed at by everybody, and you felt offended that the person you loved and who was kind to you was so ridiculed. And then you became the best doctor and nurse you ever could and wanted to prove him right. But now you're a fucking serial killer who literally doesn't care how many people she has to kill as long as you can prove the existence of Hinamasawa syndrome. Even if you have to be the one to induce it. She spoke. Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped. I'm just saying this. I'm sorry you grew up as an orphan and everyone you loved and cared about was horribly murdered. That's horrible. That sucks. But that doesn't mean you should murder everyone in my city or be angry at me for living in a nice place. I'm sorry my parents have more money and are not dead. After making a skillful U-turn using the shoulder of the road, she steadily increased in speed. From the rearview mirror, that accursed place seemed to melt into the darkness. We're going to die. Ride? What word? Huh? I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear you. What was that? Takano-san suddenly tried to say something to me, but thoughtlessly I didn't catch it. Looking at Takano-san said the same thing one more time. The body. Huh? How well was it buried? Well! Fuck. So what she tried to say was, read. She's like, read. I'm like, what? What did you say? The body. What? How well was it buried? I thought my heart might beat out of my chest, but I didn't let it show. But my lungs were squeezed tight and I couldn't breathe. Hey, Mio, I know technically you're not exactly the most benevolent person out there right now. But you're a nurse, right? You have like an asthma inhaler or something? Because I'm having trouble breathing, Miss Takano. San? Kun? Which one? Which Japanese suffix should I use in this situation? But at this point... Yeah. I'm just gonna... I'd ask for like a cup of tea to help me to drink and calm my mind. But I don't see a way for you to warm a tea kettle as you're driving the car. What are you talking about? When burying bodies in mountains like these, you have to bury it fairly deeply because wild dogs will often smell the corpses and dig it out. Some human bone a wild dog brings back in its mouth leads to an incident being uncovered. The police head out to a stretch of mountains. It actually happens pretty often, you know. Hee hee. Pound, pound, clang, clang. Huge rusted bells started ringing in my head. Those are alarm bells! There are red flags! There's a Canadian Mountie shooting a fucking flare gun in the sky. We have Sonic the Hedgehog banging a cymbal saying, "Warning! Warning! This is bad!" There is 1. She knows. 2. Her way of talking about it is way too nonchalant. Which means simply put, is this. Yes, there's the issue of somebody knows. But this should be really screaming alarms of, we're in danger. We're in active danger. That this person is behaving in a very uncanny way for what's occurring. A normal person, hell, even me, if suddenly out the person in my fucking car, even if they are exhausted, covered in mud, and carrying a shovel, if I were to like suddenly even think, or they were to tell me that they actively had buried a body in the woods, I mean, I wouldn't want to like rat them out instantly, but I would definitely have very big concerns for my safety about, okay, what's going on here in this situation? Am I safe? You know, I'd be a little panicked no matter what. But in the situation where the person who was not the one burying the body is the one who brings it up and is smiling and cheerful about it, I mean, on the one hand, maybe she's going to help us and, you know, be like, hey, maybe she's like aware enough, like, hey, she's talking to Dr. Erie, knows about the situation with Satoko's uncle, and just, you know, put two and two together. I mean, let's be clear. One, even from what we know of her as is, even as Keiichi Mabra, we know that she's very smart. It would make sense for her to put two and two together about that and understand that what was going on. Two, heck, as close friends you are with Dr. Erie, he's probably already suggested the idea that he was thinking about such a thing. Even more so the fact that she is the evil doctor surgeon person we're talking about. And let's be clear, she is very, very, very smart. So, but yeah, it's not alarm bells about, oh, she knows. It's alarm bells of her reaction. She is not, like, because like I said, while I'm a person who has played a lot of very violent video games, I have never hurt anybody in real life aside from self-defense, and even then, it's never been anything, you know, serious harm, let alone kill anyone. And heck, even in self-defense, I haven't even ever hit a woman. But yeah, I've never killed anyone, I've never broken a bone, I've never seriously hurt anybody ever. And the only times I've, you know, fought anyone and hurt anyone anyway whatsoever was self-defense, or defending someone else, and even then, like I said, I've never killed anyone, period. That being said, yeah, if I were to be around somebody and find out they actively killed somebody else, I would not be all calm and uncanny smile and cheerful and stuff about it. And that's even coming from somebody who tends to smile all the time and try to be as friendly as possible and pretend that I don't have depression. Because even though I tend to be depressed, I try and social anxiety, I still try to be sociable. I still try to be friendly with people, and I still try to be, you know, like, it's me or so pretending, hey, I'm not sad. Even if I am, I'm not. One, I don't want to make other people's problem. And two, well, I just don't feel comfortable talking about my own personal feelings in front of people IRL. And even then, you know, I have to go to work and stuff. I wouldn't want to talk to them. But I think it's a different thing here, because this is literally what the channel is, just me talking without a filter. I'm just saying this. If I was in a situation that suddenly occurred to me that, hey, the person riding next to me buried a body in the woods, even if it, like, occurred to me while I was driving, and I'm like, oh shit, they're already in the car, I'd still just drive them to their house and drop them off. I would certainly have concerns about my own well-being and stuff, but I would definitely not be able... One, I would definitely not be bringing it up in conversation. Like, at that point, Lunar is like the air quotes normal person response, even then, because for all intents and purposes, I may be a bit of a weird weeb otaku person, but I still feel I would have the normal person response of one, not even thinking of it in the first place. I think in most situations, it wouldn't even occur to me that this person buried a body in the woods. But even if it did, I wouldn't bring it up. I wouldn't say anything to the person next to me. I would just drive them home, drop them off, and leave. And then never say anything to anyone. Let alone bring it up to them and then be smiling and talking all cheerful about it. Like, this screams like the most abnormal thing that has occurred in this entire game. This reaction is not a reaction a normal person would have. And it's certainly not even the reaction I would have. Like, if you were to do 0 out of 100, being 100 very unusual and 0 is usual, the average person would be a 0, I'd be a 1, Takano would be 100. Like, this is... We're going to die, Keiji. Keiji Mabra, it was cool hanging out. I'll see you in the next game. We're going to die. It's going to suck. Had I buried it so deep that I could say it absolutely wouldn't be found? The answer was no. Was I in such a rush to bury him to get over with that I could deny having possibly buried it too close to the surface? No, wait. That's not wait. Anyway, this woman, how does she know? She just passed by here in a car by coincidence, and we ran into each other. By coincidence. If she had been watching the entire thing from the trees, and once I left, she came back in her car, it didn't make any logical sense. So then, why? Keiichi Mabra, that's it. You need to kill her. My entire body reawakened, and I could feel my pupils dilate. I couldn't possibly beat her to death with a shovel in such a small car. We are in a moving vehicle. Also, we don't necessarily need to jump to killing her. I mean, yes, she knows. That's fine. That's fine. Even if she wants to report to the police, that's fine. It would still not be justifiable to kill her in this situation, even to prevent going to the cops. But here's the problem. Her reaction is way too nonchalant about this. This isn't about we need to kill someone to cover our tracks. This is, what threat does this person pose to us right now? Their reaction is not something that is, non-threatening. Like, they haven't made a direct threat to us. Yes, that's true. But we should have warning bells about, is this person a danger to us? Now, of course, we have to be understanding. Hey, we did just kill a dude and bury him in a fucking swamp place. Yes, we're covered in mud and armed with a shovel. Maybe this person could be scared that we might hurt them. And they're being all cheery and stuff out of social anxiety. So, like, saying, hey, I understand you're probably already thinking about if I do, and I do, and, I'm not going to rat you out to the cops, so you don't need to, hit me with the shovel or anything. Also, we're in a moving car, so please don't, stab me with the shovel while we're driving. Especially not my kidneys. I'm just saying. No matter what, there's no justification for attacking her. Granted, yes, at this point we are being attacked by horrific brain parasites that are causing delusions, hallucinations, and chemical secretions in our brain that are very psychosis-inducing and very much causing emotional instability. Still, like I said, biggest concern should be her reaction screams that there's something abnormal. And I'm not saying we should attack her out of it, but I am saying that our main concern should be staying on guard and not falling asleep in this car out of concern that she might physically hurt us. So I'm not saying we actively attack her. I'm just saying, 1, we must be careful to not fall asleep. 2, we should at least stay on our guard, so if she suddenly decides to try to stab us to death or something, or poke us with a needle, or chloroform us, we can defend ourselves. So I'm just saying this. There is still no justification for us to instigate any sort of violence against Takano-san in this situation. but there is every warning bell saying we should be very careful to not fall asleep in the comfy car ride with the AC. And we should be on our guard in case she tries to suddenly stab us. Okay? So we should just be very hyper vigilant in this situation, okay? And if we had a Red Bull, we should definitely crack that open. Then I would use my hands and strangle her. But she was driving right now. If I strangled her, we might get into an accident. Then suddenly Takano-san turned and looked at me. What? No ready retort? No witty retort? For a moment, I was surprised. What was she talking about? It would seem we're not a very good match. Wait, was this a playful conversation and you're hitting on me? Okay, in the situation where we still didn't know that Miyotakana is a Nazi doctor that's brutally murdering people and a serial killer. Is it weird that I'm like, in this scenario, granted we did kill a person, that sucks, but would it be weird if I tried to like date Takano? I mean, she is cute. Now, that being said, probably shouldn't date the serial killer, but we don't know that. What if you dated someone that was a serial killer and you found out later? Well, that would be very awkward, and I really don't know how I'd react. But more than likely, I'd imagine myself not reporting the person to the police. But I would definitely have very, very conflicting emotions. That reminds me of something hilarious. I remember this VTuber posted this video of them wearing like a fucking Hannibal Lecter mask. And it was just like 14 seconds of them acting like the most psycho yandere person, saying, I love you, 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 in the most fucking creepy, uncomfortable way imaginable, which obviously, yes, awful. But then that VTuber was responding, like, she was like all surprised, like, why the fuck did this pop off? Why are so many people liking this? Why are so many people upvoting this video? And my response to that was, there's two things that you underestimated about the people on the internet. One, the amount of people that desperately need somebody to tell them that they are loved and cared about. Hell, I don't even remember what a hug feels like, aside from like my mom. Okay. So one, I don't think she understands the amount, especially the amount of people that watch VTubers, myself included, who very much lack physical affection, hugs, feeling cared about, basic human self-worth and self-esteem, or in general, would actually appreciate or need to hear someone say, I love you. So even if done in a very unpalatable way, yeah, there's a serious amount of very lonely, sad people on the internet. And no, I'm not making fun of them because I'm technically one of them. Okay? Two, one, you're underestimating the amount of lonely people on the internet needing to be told, I love you. But two, I was like, this video is still healthier than any relationship I've ever had in real life. And everyone's like, that sounds awful, Lunar. I'm like, yes, apparently it is. But it's like, it's still healthier than any relationship I've ever actually had. I'm just saying. If I knew the shit Takano-san was doing, I definitely wouldn't. But I am certainly saying that if put in this situation, even in the situation Kiichi's in right now, my reaction to this would be, it would seem we're not a very good match. But I thought you were already dating Jiro-san. But if I was mistaken, I mean, you and I could be dating. You know, something like that. Everyone's like, that's terrible and it sounds autistic. Whatever. I might be autistic. I don't know. Every online test says I'm extremely autistic. But the internet can't be trusted. So, it would seem we're not a very good match. Takano-san said, disappointed, returning her gaze ahead. I repeated the words she said a few times in my head and finally realized she'd meant it as an off-color joke. I didn't know whether it was really a joke, but... I mean, technically, we did the same thing. I mean, in the very first game, when we ran into Jiro in the woods, we were trying to joke with him a bit humorous way. Plus, we were trying to fish for information because he was a, air quotes, journalist and photographer who had been familiar with the village for years. And we were trying to find more information out about, you know, a story from years ago about a person who had actually died in Hinamizawa. So we made an off-color joke to Jiro about a dismembered body. But like I said, my reaction in the scenario, even, like I said, one, obviously, in the scenario where we didn't kill anyone and we're just like, we went to the beach. But I'm just saying this. In a situation even where I wasn't covered in mud or anything and I was just at the beach, and let's say Takano-san actually, you know, picked me up from the beach and saw me build a fucking sandcastle, and there was absolutely 0% chance of what she said being possible. And she's like, oh, did you bury the bodies very deep and all that shit? And talk about the mountains and stuff. Even though we both fully know there was zero possibility of that being a possibility. My reaction to, oh, it would seem we're not a very good match, whether it be in the completely peaceful situation of having not killed a person, or even in this situation of, you know, we literally just buried Satoko's uncles in the fucking mountains, and we're in physical pain. My reaction to that would still have been to ask her out. My reaction would have been to try to flirt. And, if possible, date Takano-san. And everyone's like, she's older than you. I don't care. Everyone's going to be like, listen, this is like Lunar D8 hag maxing. Though Takano-san would probably take offense to be called a hag. It's like, I'm just trying to use a stupid internet meme. It's some sort of joke on the internet that I assume 2 people will get. It's like, you're not being very funny. I'm trying, okay? Your joke about me burying bodies in the woods wasn't very funny either. I'm like, yeah, but I actively see and smell blood on you. Oh, right, she's a nurse. Blood has a certain smell. She would definitely be, even with all the mud and rain, she would be able to smell the blood. Plus, she's a fucking nurse. She'd be able to notice the looks in her eyes. And everyone's like, what are you fucking talking about? Adrenaline. She could tell that we're like in a very abnormal physical condition. She's a nurse. She's used to seeing that. Between the blood and the adrenaline, she should be able to... I mean, every nurse in the world will be able to tell that. I'm just saying, either situation. Heck, even if she didn't mean it as a joke, I'd still probably ask her out. Also, why the fuck does my arm have a bruise on it? Like, the inner part of my right arm, it's got a bruise. Why do I have a bruise? Where the fuck did that come from? I didn't know whether it was really a joke, but I wouldn't be able to fool her no matter how many lies I told. Right now, with her driving a car like this, I couldn't kill her. I would have an even harder time doing it when we got back to my house. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hold on. Bang, bang, bang. Like, what are you doing? Okay, but yeah, all things considered, again, as far as we're aware, she's an innocent person. We have no justification to harm her in any way. Though she's probably about to stab us to death, and then that would be very sad, because being stabbed would hurt a lot, and I would not like that. The moment we met, That had been my best chance. And to have missed it so easily, it hurt. After that, Takano-san didn't say a single word. The car was completely buried in almost suffocating silence. Do we not own a radio? What kind of woman had I run into? We ran into Satan. With everything that happened today, I managed to pull it off, and at the very end of it all, I just had to go home and go back to sleep. What bad luck. We're passing out. No, 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 no. Do not fall asleep in Frieza's car. Fucking Dr. Giro over here is going to cut us up and make us up into an android. And not in the DBZ sense. As my DBZ... As my Dragon Balls gradually overtook me. Shit. As my sleepiness gradually overtook me, the anxiety I felt steadily started to matter less and less. Okay, under the situation that Takano-san is a normal fucking person, she's going to wake up my parents and be like, hey, can you help get your son out of my fucking car? And then maybe later I'd try to get her phone number and we'd go for a date. And maybe I'd start fucking her. Instead, she's a serial killer. And the other bike in the back seat is one of my friends who is currently bound and gagged in her fucking trunk. Possibly with her throat already slit. Though to be fair, she wouldn't kill the person because Hanamizawa syndrome needs a person to be alive in order to prove it scientifically. Because once you die, the parasites instantly disintegrate. Because they need the constant, steady electrical surge of the human brain to stay alive or to maintain biointegrity. Without which, they just sort of fall apart. I felt steadily started to matter less and less. Is this alright, Keiichi Mabura? You probably should not leave this woman alive. There's no problem with her. Like, as far as she's an innocent person, there's no problem leaving her alive. The problem is she's a serial killer. We're falling asleep in a very dangerous place. This is like falling asleep in the woods surrounded by fucking wolves. We're not going to wake up. And if we do wake up, it's not going to be very pleasant. Right now, I'm tired. She stepped on the brakes and I jerked against my seatbelt. That woke me up. I thought I must have fallen asleep by accident. Hello? Hey, we're home! You didn't murder me! I didn't get stabbed! Yay! I looked out the window and there was a big building with faint lights on. It was really dark out, but I knew immediately it was my house. Now that being said, if it took us this much of a car ride to get home, how fucking far away were we? Honestly, even by biking, if it took us this long to get here, given the way the conversation went, we would have had a half an hour to fucking bike. How the fuck did we take that long to... Yeah, if it took this long for her to drive, there's no way we could have walked home. With a fucking sprained ankle. I'll go get your folks for you. Would you mind the place for a few moments while I'm gone? Are you going to go in with a gun and blow my parents' brains out? I would prefer you not do that. Hee hee. Get your folks for you. Like, I feel like there's a double entendre that you're making here that I'm not getting. Don't make fun of me, please. Besides, look, I'm fine now. I can walk myself. I'm perfect cell. I have regenerated. I now have 12 ankles. Oh my. You were in such pain before that you had to get me to carry you. Did you just want a pretty lady to be nice to you? Again. While I wouldn't expect anything to come of it, everyone's like, your self-esteem has taken such a blow. To be fair, I've been rejected by over 10,000 people IRL, and every relationship I've ever had has gone very poorly. Everyone I've ever been with has cheated on me. And I've also been through abuse and lots of mistreatment. And honestly, I had such a terrible experience with women, I'm just going to be gay. Because I would like I don't know, to be treated like a human being and like a person. I'd like an emotionally healthy relationship. I'd like someone who would never hurt me under any circumstance or betray me or hurt me. I'd never want to go through another divorce again, or to be stuck in a legally binding contract with someone who's a fucking psychopath or an adulteress, or to worry about a child being neglected while I'm at work, or have a child taken from me, or deal with a psycho bitch. Okay? Main point is this. I just want someone who actually cares about me and appreciates me. You know, just a basic, normal, emotionally healthy relationship. It's not like, oh, you just care about lust. Like, no. It's not like I'm going out just banging people and have fucking orgies and shit. I just want a healthy relationship with someone who actually cares about me and is actually kind to me and actually is, you know, nice to me and actually appreciates me. But yes, I wouldn't expect anything to come of it. I'd feel like I'd just expect outright to be rejected. Like, heck, if the person responded favorably to my flirting, I would have to do a double take and wonder if I suddenly was, like, you know, having a stroke. Like, I'm probably hallucinating. I'm probably having a stroke. This is like a near-death experience. It's like, did you see heaven? No, I saw someone say they actually liked me back. It's like something equally unrealistic. But I'm just saying this. Even with the, like, I mean, heck, I remember being at Applebee's about a year ago, and there was a cute waitress. I still asked her out. And it went okay. She wanted telling me that she was already married to a woman. I was like, that was neat. And then me and her talked for like another 15 minutes, and I suggested a bunch of anime, because they were both into anime. Apparently she's like really into Demon Slayer and stuff, as was her wife. So I suggested some retro anime like Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, and I genuinely enjoyed the conversation. But yeah, main point is, I wouldn't expect Takano-san to be into me, but I would still ask her out in this situation. Like, did you just want a pretty lady to be nice to you? I'm like, I mean, you are very pretty, and I do want to date you. Everyone's like, perhaps not ask her out so autistically. Like, did you just want a pretty lady to be nice to you? Yeah. Besides, how else was I supposed to get your number? I don't know. Hee? Okay, the little laugh at each thing is a little bit awkward. Like, it's getting a little bit overdone. Almost like it's a social tick now. Are you gonna take a gun and blow my parents' brains out? Like, what's happening? As Takano-san spoke, she left the car and opened up her umbrella. The sound of falling raindrops was fierce, as always. I carefully reached down and rubbed the ankle I'd twisted. There was still some pain and a little weirdness, but they weren't that bad anymore. Rather than being happy about how light the wound was, I first regretted this whole thing. If I hadn't twisted my ankle, I could have still taken the option of killing Takano-san right then and there. There probably wasn't much doubt that Takano-san was convinced I was involved in some sort of crime. If she knew about everything happening with Satoko, then she might have guessed I'd killed somebody. Yeah, but honestly, at this point, either she doesn't know or she does know. I would say this. I would think that if Takano-san is smart enough to understand what happened, then she'd probably be like, I'm not going to bother saying anything. She would have decided that that was for the best, and that ratting me out wouldn't accomplish anything good or help anyone. Click? Takano-san opened the passenger side door for me. And then she might have even guessed I'd killed somebody. You're sure you don't need my shoulders? I wouldn't mind doing it for you again. I mean, there's a lot of things I'd want you to do for me. Like, can we go play some Assassin's Creed 2 together? There's like this one level I'm really struggling with. Hee. I ignored her and answered by getting out of the car by myself. The rain was still pretty intense. I got my bicycle out of the back seat. I was a bit curious who the other bike belonged to, but that didn't matter right now. I let Takano-san hold the umbrella over me, and pushed my bicycle up to the front door. Thank you very much. Is it Satoko's bicycle? Is Satoko dead? Did you murder Satoko? Were you like... Because after all, Satoko had the fucking freak out. So obviously she's showing signs of going Hinamizawa. So, yeah, oh my fucks. Is Satoko in the back seat, bound and gagged, listening to my voice, being like, Nini, save me, I'm back here? Or is she drugged and passed out? Was Satoko in the trunk, about to be fucking dissected? And Takano-san's just looking at me like, this fruit isn't ripe yet. Keiichi-san needs a day or two more. My ankle hurt so much earlier, and it still did. But it aggravated me that it hadn't even been that bad. It was really seriously terrible luck. Maybe she stabbed us with a light bit of morphine? But then again, when we had woken up, I feel like that stuff would have been too much of a sedation, especially in our exhausted state. Alright, I'll be leaving then. Heck. Even though I had the less invasive form of the surgery, because originally I didn't want to do the original thing I wanted to do, which was much more invasive. Even the less invasive form of the surgery I was required to take a year and a half ago, my body didn't necessarily like the sedation, nor the process of being unconscious like that. Simply put, not only was the recovery period that I had from that very unpleasant, but honestly, I think if I were to have any sort of... I know it makes me sound pathetic, but my body didn't exactly respond the greatest to the doctor's sedation and stuff. I mean, it worked, it's just... they had some concerns about how my heart reacted and stuff. So, what I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure any sort of major surgery with any amount of sedation or none at all, whether there's no sedation at all or heavy sedation or no matter what proper amount is used, I don't think my body can handle it. I think that if I were to have if I were to go to a doctor and they were to try to do some sort of major surgery on me, I don't think I would wake up. I don't think my body can handle it. Because even the less invasive stuff, my body kind of struggled with, and there was concerns about my hearts and lungs and stuff like that. So, simply put, whether it be, let alone physical trauma like that. Though at that point, it basically makes it sound like if someone were to ever just try to stab me, I'd probably just die on the spot before I bleed out. That my heart and lungs would just freak out too much from the scenario. It's like, what happened? He pumped too much adrenaline, he just died. Then again, I was the guy back at my previous job that when I was home, I was complaining to you guys on the Let's Plays about how I'd be laying in bed and my chest would be throbbing and hurting, and my knees would be throbbing. Even though I'd be laying in bed, trying to sleep, and my knees would be horribly hurting and a lot of pain and throbbing, and my chest would feel like it was just about to explode sometimes. Main reason I quit that job, because there's just no way I could handle it anymore. That previous job I was going to die. So I had to quit that previous job. My body just couldn't handle it. I mean, granted, the current job I'm doing is physical labor as well, but it's not causing me that much. Granted, there's sometimes I've sprained my ankle or my elbow and stuff, or my shoulder. I mean, there's a bit of lifting and stuff, and I use a reciprocating saw and stuff like that, but it's not nearly as overexertion as what I was being asked to do there. So, all in all, the job I currently do, I at least like better than my previous job. Keep it a secret that we had a nice evening drive together by ourselves, okay? Hee. Especially from Jiro-san. Jiro-san? Oh, she meant Tomotaki-san. I suppose she calls him by his first name. His full name must be Jiro Tomataki then. Oh yeah, Dr. Jiro, yeah. And then the other bike, the folding one in the back seat, that I didn't care about at first, suddenly came to mind. Hey, excuse me, you're from Hinamizawa, right? On the day before yesterday, as I walked near the dam half asleep, Tomasaki-san had talked to me. And the bicycle he'd been riding, it was... That bicycle on the back belongs to Tomasaki-san, doesn't it? Takano-san's eyes, I think they sharpened for a moment. And why do you think that? I saw it when I met him before. The frame stood out to me. Please don't stab us. We were home. We were literally home free! Don't tell it. Fuck. I mean, you did just say for us to keep your little secret, and technically, you know, even right now, if you tell me that your boyfriend is duct taped and handcuffed in the back seat, you literally know that I murdered a dude too. You could just say, hey, yes, he's duct taped and bound in the back seat dead. I also know you killed someone. So how about this? You don't tell anybody about what I did. I don't tell anybody what you did. If anybody ever finds out what I did, they'll find out what you did. And then we leave it at that. You don't need to pull out the hypodermic needle and stab me with super drugs. But wouldn't that be odd? Do you think it's possible for this Jiro-san's bike? Odd, huh? Takano-san, her elegantly hair fluttering, peers into my eyes. Well, I mean, the logical reason for his bicycle to be in your back seat is that he left it somewhere. He took a bus, and you're just driving it around for him to where he needs. Makes sense, right? You know, he works a lot of photography jobs. He had to go to do something, and he said, hey, I got to stay late, but I don't want to bicycle later because it's going to be really dark, and it's raining, and I don't want to be... I mean, who the fuck bikes in the fucking rain? And after all, he's got camera shit and stuff, so he'd be like, hey, honey, since you got a car... And I'm like, why are you calling her honey? Well, I mean, in this situation, we're her boyfriend. What do you guys call your spouses or whatever? You know? What is normal? Seriously, what is normal? Air quotes. Like, what do you guys do? And everyone's like, none of us watching this have relationships. We're all as lonely as you. And it's like, great. Society is actually fucked. But anyway, the main point is this. Assuming that any of you could have a boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, what would you call your partner? Would you just call them by their name all the time? Would you have any sort of name that you would call them playfully? Like, what would you call each other? What would you call your waifu? You know? Your husbando. But I'm just saying, logically, you know, she and Jiro-san were at the festival. He wound up staying late, take care of some pictures and stuff, and said he'd get a ride home later. But he didn't want to leave his bicycle there. So you're taking his bike home for him, and then he's going to get a car ride later, and then you guys are going to stay up late and play like Halo, and then Netflix and chill. Well, just pull out the trump card. You know I killed a dude. Use that as like reverse blackmail. But we could have just said nothing. We're tired. And we choose now to... Like, I was only concerned, like, is it Satoko's bike? Like, obviously, if it's Satoko's bike, we gotta fucking do something. Because she's duct taped, and we gotta, like, beat her to death then. Because at that point, that is justified to kill her. Because she's murdering our friend. But... that's not Satoko's bike or any of my friends. It's like, oh, it's your boyfriend's. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Bye. Don't stab me. I would not like that. Well, there are no bed and breakfasts in Himizawa, are there? Jiro-san would need to be staying in town. Is that so? Well, I mean, they are dating. This is 1983, though. Are you not publicly allowed to say you're having sex with people? Because even if that's the case, I don't care. I mean, heck, I was just discussing that if you were single, you know. I'm just saying. Would. I mean... is that so? Well, I guess that's right, huh? You can't really walk from town to Himizawa, can you? And there are no houses either. You at least need a bicycle. She didn't need to tell me that. That's why Jiro-san was riding a bike. For Jiro-san's bicycle to be stowed in my car, and him not in there, that would be strange, wouldn't it? Again, you have had time to think this out. It would not be that hard to lie to me about this. I would believe anything you say at this point. It could be the dumbest fucking excuse. You could just say Jiro wanted some fresh air and he wanted to walk. I'd fucking just roll with it. But logically, the most logical thing you could say is, oh, well, his photography thing, they need to do some extra stuff about some stuff that would take him a bit later because he was going to get to see stuff with the shrine or something. And I was like, okay, cool. But he was like, hey, it's going to be late. I can't, like, it's my job, but I can't expect you, my girlfriend, to stay late. And besides, you got to get up early for your next shift at the hospital, clinic, whatever. And so how about this? I'm going to stay. You take my bike home. I'll get a car ride sometime tomorrow. Maybe you can come pick me up after you get off work. Maybe I'll crash like at the shrine or something. And then you come pick me up then. And I can make it up too with, you know, lots of sex, I guess, or something. Then again, we're having sex every day. Double sex then. Double sex. I am like actively alienating everyone listening to this at all times. For anyone that wants my intro, greetings one and all to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. And thanks for hanging out. It would mean Jiro-san was in Himizawa without a bike. I'd have to have left Jiro-san somewhere and put his bike in the car then, wouldn't I? Well, of course. It would just mean that he's working with something with his photography and he didn't want to hold you up. My house is right there. Please let me... Please don't kill me. It wouldn't make sense. As she spoke, Takano-san's eyes, like a hawk, made eyes like a hawk. Unfortunately, I didn't really understand. What was so odd? What about that is odd? Hey, even if it's weird, even if it'd be weird to other people, we already had the conversation that I wasn't going to tell anyone that you drove me here. You and I never met. So you also know that I know something, that I did something, and you know that, and I know that you know that. So you know I'm not going to talk about shit about you. Because, you know, that would fuck me over with the whole Satoko's uncle thing. So you know that I'm actively no threat to you of exposing you on anything. Even if you outright murdered your boyfriend. Please just let me leave. I will forget you ever existed. Aren't you and Tomotaki-san friends? I don't really think it would be strange for there to be some reason you had his bicycle in your car. But it would be. What I mean is Jiro-san and his bicycle, different places wouldn't make sense. Again, it just means he's staying late and you're going to come pick him up later. He just didn't want to make the inconvenience about his bicycle then. And for those reasons, it means his bicycle can't be his. Do you understand now? Takano-san's roundabout way of talking was hard to comprehend, but that eeriness I could feel, vague dreadfulness. I didn't like it at all. At this point, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then just go on. I'm going to get out of the car and not get stabbed by you. I'd rather not get stabbed. But the most wild, instinctive part of me warned me not to pry. That's my bicycle. Jiro-san picked it out for me, though I can't deny that it looks like. That is a logical reason. And it leaves less loopholes than what I was saying, though I think my reason was fairly logical. But then you'd have to ask Jiro-san about it sometime if I met him. But at this point, yeah, I'll just accept that as oh, cool. I might ask her if she knows some good bike trails. Ah, I see now. I thought it looked similar. You and I never saw each other tonight. I'm cool with that. While I was fully on board to bang you at any point, honestly, and be flirtatious, make a flirty, witty retort, and if you responded favorably, yay. And if not, then just leave and, play video games, I guess. But at the moment where I'm like, your boyfriend's probably duct taped and dead in the back seat, yeah, boner gone. Boner gone. Yep, as far as I'm concerned, we've never met. Takano who? I know not this Mio-san. Now she was talking about something completely different. What are you talking about? You and I never saw each other tonight. Yes, I'm cool. I can just accept that. That's cool. I'm just a really good walker, and I endured through the ankle pain. I stayed there not knowing what to say, and Takano-san repeated her eerie, succinct phrase to me again. And again, from a logical standpoint, it might make her look bad that she almost ran me over. That I could see. Because after all, my parents might blame my ankle on her, even though they might have a question of why I was where I was. But main point is this. You did just get my parents, right? So they know. You and I never met this night. You and I never saw each other tonight. You and I never met this night. Ellipses as Kiichi just stares at her like, to be fair, Takano, one, I've been through a hell of a night and a lot of stress. I am very confused. I possibly have a brain disorder. And I'm very sleepy. So I'm not really processing anything very well. Maybe if she flashed her titties at you and wake you up. Okay, again, I don't think at this point that would, I don't think even that would reawaken a boner. I think the boner's asleep for the rest of the day. You and I never saw each other tonight. Something cold and unpleasant crawled up my spine. I knew because I'd killed a person with my own hands before. Before I came to the conclusion that I only had one chance to beat this woman to death to keep her quiet, I couldn't hesitate. So I could tell that she'd arrived at the very same conclusion. Hey! We finally got Kenpachi! The thing where you can actually sense other people's killing intent. And granted, that's a red flag in itself. It's like, one, the person has killing intent, and two, why? Especially in regard to the bicycle. But that should just be it. information. Like, it's like, what do you do in that situation? Simple. I get out of the car and pretend I never met the person. There's no reason for me to push on this shit. I don't care if she killed Jiro-san. Main point is this. I would rather not be next. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to let it go, and I'm just going to get out of the car and pretend that I never understood anything. And just pretend it never happened. Forever. My instincts warned me again. I wish I'd never met this woman. The faint sense, like a rotten smell, drifting from this woman was no doubt the exact same sense that I was giving off right now. Hey, we both killed a person on the same day. So it's like, we're understanding that, hey, that same sense I was giving off, and that's another thing. She was probably able to tell that much easier because, to be fair, she's been at the whole serial killing thing a lot longer than me. To be fair, though, I'm not planning to kill any more uncles to Satoko's. So, just saying. Little bit of a malevolence issue we're sensing here, but then we were thinking about killing her. Just saying. We were planning on burying a bone in her mountain until, you know, the skeletons in her trunk became a concern. So much sexual innuendo. So much inappropriate off-color humor. It can only be a Lunar D8 video. The very peculiar aspiration, the lack of uncertainty at taking a human's life for a purpose. Only that, one that only those who have risen above everything had. This also brings up the point this, that at every point, like, what if she had just run into us by coincidence after murdering Jiro-san and stuffing him in the trunk, and she was on her way to bury the body? What if, at every moment where I was considering if I should kill her to silence her, what if she was looking at me like, do I need to kill this kid too? Because he's a witness that I was here. At every moment where I was considering killing her, but again, also she's Hitler, so that's also not a good thing. Actually, maybe I should have called it nausea. It meant, and I didn't know how to explain this very well, but Takano-san was the same as me. In other words, someone who shouldn't have been here. Someone I couldn't have let anybody know was here. Someone who nobody would have wanted to see. And now that we had, we could calmly pretend as though we never met. Yes, which meant that, just like I wanted to have nothing else to do with her, she didn't want anything to do with me either. And she, too, wanted to make it so that we'd never met. Both of us wished for the same thing. Our desires were the same, which meant Takano-san's suggestion was extremely practical, and that I could outright refuse. And that I couldn't outright refuse. If that's fine with you, then sure, whatever. You and I didn't meet this night. You're right. That would be best for you, too, wouldn't it? Why do you think that? Okay, are you going to outright says it? Like, why would you think that? Because you killed Satoko's uncle. Are you seriously asking me that? You can't figure that out on your own, boy. She cut me off with the condescending word, boy. Well, I don't like being condescended to. Also, we're very sleepy. Then again, how long have you been awake? She's like, I pulled 24 12-hour shifts and then murdered my boyfriend. It's like, right in front of my house in a place most unsuited to killing. And yet there was a frozen thirst for blood coming from both of us. I mean, to be fair, there are timelines where she has literally killed us and our parents and then had 100 federal agents come in and scrub everything up. She is literally the most dangerous person in all of Japan. I would be killed right here, right now? Yeah, then I should have definitely beaten her as we passed each other. No, I mean, at this point, if we're getting the sense that she has the upper hand to kill us even here in front of our house, then it means literally... This is literally like a baby wolf confronting a giant-ass fucking pack of lions. The baby wolf's like, I killed a bunny rabbit. And the pack of lions are like, you see that elephant? We killed thousands. A damp, greasy sweat broke out on my body. And that's fine. If you want me, then you can come anytime. And when I made up my mind, she shook her hair elegantly and turned on her heel. Good. I am a kind person, after all. What was good? How? I mean, she does know where we live. And she knows where literally everyone in town lives. She knows our blood types. Because she was a kind person. Was that it? I didn't get it. Takano-san got in her car. We didn't exchange any words at parting. I had performed a massive feat, the killing of Satoko's uncle, and yet I didn't feel any accomplishment on the holy night of Oyashiro-sama's curse, on which the taking of another's life was allowed. On the terribly rainy night, when the demons wandered as agents of Oyashiro-sama's will, the demons were never supposed to meet. But suddenly, they did. Yep. Currently, me and Takano are the demons. It's like, you guys remember that game, Werewolf? Heck, there was even a video game that made its own ploy at it, called Raging Loop, which was done very well, but a very, very long story. Heck, it's like Imposter. Or Nausea. You know that game called Among Us? That's Among Us. We're playing Among Us. This is Higurashi, the game of Among Us, but with a great story. And there's no, like, no people, like, in rubber suits. Unless we're talking about a version of Mio Takano-san with really, really big titties and a massive foot-long Fuda cock. Everyone's like, why did you have to draw the cock as you were... But the demons were never supposed to meet. But suddenly, they did. The demons parted ways triumphantly. There was no reason for them to fight. Both their objectives had already been accomplished. With the rain hitting me like a waterfall, my eyes met with Takano-san's through the car window. The female demon, her mouth twisted into a distorted, fearless smile. It was too late to kill her. Far too late. That first moment, the very first moment we saw each other, had been my best chance. And now that we had parted like this, I was acutely aware of it. I should not have let her live. She beeped her horn quickly, and then her car drove away into the deluge. The one woman who knew what really happened tonight disappeared into the dark. As long as she was alive, this night would never really end. Again, we had mutual information. Because, we're eventually going to find out that Jiro is dead. And at that point, if she ever wants to expose us, well, mutually assured destruction. Just get into an accident, I thought to myself. In this downpour, slip on some mud or something and fly face first into a tree and die. That wasn't a delusion, a wild flight of fantasy. It was an earnest wish, yes. It was a command. Die. Die. And keep your mouth shut for eternity, because I have no doubt you're wishing for me to die all the same. Yep, all the negative things we're thinking about her, she's thinking about us. My curse upon her faded imply as Takano-san's taillights disappeared into utter darkness. Her car lights were completely out of sight now. Even the sound of the car engine faded into the sound of heavy rain and was inaudible now. I, too, turned on my heel. Which foot? Because one of them hurts. To draw the curtains on this insane night. To open my front door and end it all. I began walking towards the front door. I was covered in mud, and I made a squishing sound with every step I took. Squish, squish. Don't worry, Keichimabra. Squish, squish. She'll die. Squish, squish. Her end will be as miserable as she is. I'll throw her in some flames alive and let her dance until she's burned to a crisp. I'll burn her to ashes in the fires of hell itself until she's roasted, as much as she deserves. I wish. I really do. Squish. Huh? Just now, I hadn't taken a step, and yet a footstep. Without emotion, I turned around. If there was a footprint that wasn't my own, then it was obvious someone else behind me. Was somebody else there? I was sick of this. Whoever it was, I was sick of everything tonight. This time, I would kill them. I'd kill them without a second thought. This might be our parents. After all, they might be worried about their child, who has not come back, who it's been very dark. They're probably worried about us. Especially since they are probably more aware about the curse of people disappearing, and then we're going to turn around. Though to be thankful, I mean, we do have the shovel. Shit. I wouldn't hesitate to turn around and dig another hole. But it's probably our parents. Don't swing and hit your parents. Hello? But fortunately, there was nobody there. I wasn't going to have to kill any more people tonight. No, it's definitely just the auditory hallucination of Oyashiro-sama that is going to be possibly watching over us like a sleep paralysis demon, because we're at level 5 Hinamizawa. This night, I couldn't handle any more of it. Even if I heard an extra footstep each time I stopped, I'd put it down to me just being tired. Taking extra steps, brushed by a close encounter. Sorry the video was long. Later.